Hey there YouTube, California Prepper. Well, you may be a little overwhelmed right now, as am I. I have a viewer requested, actually a couple of my viewers have requested a full collection video, and I've been putting it off for a while, and actually I was going to film it last night and my tripod broke, so that's why we're so close right now. So with my tripod not functioning right, what we're gonna do is just stay focused, or in the position we're in, and I'll bring each knife in front of the camera and talk about them a little bit there. Now, because of the limitations to my piece of crap Sony camera, I can only record 10 minutes at a time, so each segment will be broken up into 10-minute periods, but I will edit them all together. So I'll try and keep it as smooth as possible. So with that being said, let's jump on in with the very first line up here at the top, which is the majority of my Kershaws. So first off is my wife's Rainbow Kershaw Leak. Not my favorite knife, but it's actually a pretty good defensive knife for her. Like I always told her, she always carries pretty good defensive knives. If you ask me, I think the native for a girl would be a pretty good defensive tool as well, just because of how pointy and sharp they are. But this knife would be a perfect tool if somebody comes up behind her. If she just whips this out and plunges this right behind her, that little stake is gonna hurt somebody. So it's not the best knife in a defensive situation, but it's definitely not the worst knife in a defensive situation. So not a bad idea as a extra backup EDC. Next up is another one that she likes to carry, which is the Kershaw Skyline. This was one of my favorite EDCs for a while, and then she really took it over, which didn't bug me too much. I like that my wife's actually into carrying quality knives now, so it makes me feel good to know that she has at least one knife, if not multiple knives on her. So there's the Skyline. Next up, one of my favorites, the Kershaw Needs Work. This is actually what brought me up from crappy cheap knives like this into the world of quality cutlery. And once I discovered quality knives, man, it was love at first sight. I already loved knives enough, and then give me quality stuff and I just went haywire with it. So great knife. I still carry this knife on the pretty much on the regular. If I'm doing any work, any utility work, I usually grab this. Great knife. That straight edge just gives you a razor sharp cutting tool edge. Actually, great tool. This is another one that I passed down to the wife. For me, the Brawler is just a little too small in hand. I have medium, large hands, I guess, and this thing is just a little too small for me. It's actually a little uncomfortable for my wife as well. She doesn't like the pointy flipper. It's just not. It's not as smooth and fluid as the rest of the Kershaws. This did come in the what is it? The triple threat pack or whatever they call it. You know, the flashlight, pen, knife combo packs. So I mean, you know, you're getting what you pay for. But I would like to see if a regular Brawler, maybe a little better quality than they put into those packs. Still haven't had the urge to buy another one of these yet, but I'd like to check it out just to see. Next up is one of the first Kershaws that I bought myself, the Kershaw 3/4 ton. I bought this and the bigger brother, the 1 ton, at the same time. These were my first purchases after getting the Needs Work from a friend, and I just love these knives. Still to this day, these are some of my favorite Kershaws. I love the 1 ton and the frame lock. It doesn't get carried much. It's just for 20 bucks, it's a very elegant knife. I love the big belly. Great knife. Very sharp. A little dirty. Doesn't see much pocket time. Now the 3/4 ton, on the other hand, This is another workhorse. I have put this knife through the ringer, but what I like about it is it's a manual knife. It's not flipping as good as it usually does. Needs a little grease. Have to clean up these knives. Haven't oiled them in a while, but this is a workhorse right here. I love this knife. Just a great little working knife. Next up are actually 3 of the same knives. I have the black, the titanium, or the original, and the bead blasted cryos. Don't think I really need to talk about each of those individually. Everybody knows about the cryo. Cryo 2s are just now coming out, and hopefully I will be adding those to the collection soon. They just happen to come out at the wrong time. Really bad time for the cryos 2s to come out, but hopefully by the time I have enough money they'll go down a little bit more in price. Anyways, those are the cryos. Next up is one of my favorite knives. This sees probably the most time out of all the Kershaws. This is the Knockout. This thing is just super lightweight. You have a very solid blade, very solid lockup for how light this knife is. It is just an awesome EDC. If this is all I'm packing, I still feel safe with this knife, and it just comes out with the force. This will definitely put the fright into somebody if you're having to defend yourself with it, and I bet you it's fully capable of doing the job. This thing is razor sharp, and it's just a beast for how light and how sleek it is. Love that knife. Next up is another one of my favorites. This is the Kershaw Tension. A little dirty. Like I said, haven't got around to wiping these down in a while, actually. But this, to me, really reminds me of the knife like I keep harping on. It's sort of a knife between the 3/4 ton and the 1 ton. You have, the 1 ton look and the 1 ton length of blade, but it's more of a clip point, and then you have it in the liner lock style, so it's more of the 3/4 ton, and it really looks more like the 3/4 ton than the 1 ton, but you have a G10 liner lock, so it's sort of both blades, the best of both knives, and for 20 bucks, that's a great deal. Next up, this is actually the 3rd Kershaw that I bought myself. Right after I got the 1 tons, I had to get the Clash. Love this knife, fell in love with it. This one doesn't see too much pocket time. I keep harping on this as well. The recurve blade here on the bottom, I've heard they are a pain in the ass to sharpen, and I just don't even want to risk it. I love this knife and love knowing that it's razor sharp, so I don't like using all my knives to the point of ruining the factory edge. I like to know that I have a sharp knife to count on if I need one. And most of these that do most of the work, there's a select few that I use that I'm not as careful with. You knife guys all completely understand what I'm talking about with that. Although these are cheap knives, they're my knives, and really, if something happened to them, I would not have the money to turn it around and replace them right now. Whether this is $25 or not, if something happened to this, I could not just throw another $25 at it. I would just have to eat it and move on. So I still try and keep all my things nice. If you guys have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Us parents don't get to buy much for ourselves, so when you do, you keep it nice for as long as you can. Let's see, how are we on time? Almost at 9 minutes, so probably another knife or two, and then we'll wrap it up and move on to the second video. So we'll probably wrap it up with another great Kershaw. This is the Blur. This to me is the big brother of the Clash. If you're going to spend a little bit more money, you get a little bit more blade, and this thing is just awesome. They have several different versions, but when I first fell in love with this knife, I fell in love with the black on black. I was thinking about going with either the OD green or the desert tan, but neither of them made my heart beat like the black on black. This thing is just screams tactical. I don't carry it much just because of that, for that reason, and this thing is just razor sharp, flings out like a beast, and out of all my knives, this one tends to bite me the most. I don't know what it is, just every time I carry her, she bites me. So love this knife, Kershaw Blur. If you guys don't have one, you gotta get one. So that's going to conclude this video, guys. Hey there, YouTube. California Prepper. Alright, we're right back with video number 2. We were just finishing up with the Kershaw Blur. And moving right along, that concludes the Kershaws. Actually, I take that back. We have one more Kershaw in the lineup. We have Kershaw Select Fire. I got one of these for my wife, one for me. Ended up trading off mine, but I still have hers. This doesn't see as much wear as I thought they would. Got them for both of us because my wife's always asking me for a screwdriver. It's a great knife and a great little EDC, but she tends to carry her knives between her boobs. Sorry guys to be blunt about it. Not in the bra, just right between the boobs, connected to the bra actually, and this is just a bit too bulky for her. So she does carry this. It's in the back pocket, but most of the time it's either the Native in the bra or the Skyline. So both of these get to play with the boobies, which don't mind me. Don't bug me much. At least one of us is having some fun, right? This video is horrible. So that concludes the Kershaws. Let's keep it moving along. The second line here is the Spyderco collection. So we're going to start it off with the smallest first. This is another one of my favorite EDCs. This is the Kiwi, and it's actually the Kiwi 3, the all stainless model. I love this little knife. At first when I seen this on Cutlery Lover's channel, I was like, what the heck is that little thing? And the more I seen it, the more I wanted it, and I was getting some stuff off Late HQ. It was on sale for like 18 bucks, so I added it to the cart, and boy am I happy I did. I love this little knife. Great EDC knife. If I'm out and about in public, you know, just like everybody has already talked about, I've harped on it, Knife Thursday harps on it. You know, knives and the public just don't mix. You know, the world is conditioned, is just so conditioned differently than it used to be. You know, back in the day, people used to walk around, they had their pistol on their side, they had a sword, they had a knife, and if you didn't, you were a stranger. You know, you were weird if you didn't protect yourself. Now everybody counts on other people to protect them, and you know, they look at you funny for having a knife, like you're gonna hurt them because you have a knife or something. It just drives me crazy. So before I go off on a rant, this knife is a great thing if you just need to whip it out, cut something open for the wife or the kids. You know, you don't want to have to whip something like this out, because that's when people start getting scared. For some reason, they think everybody with a knife is some deranged killer. But before I start harping on that again, just a great EDC. Another great EDC, it's a little bit bigger, but still not too bad, is the Native. I got myself one when I got my old lady hers because I absolutely loved the design. She loved it, came in pink, couldn't have been better. I love this little knife, and you know, like I said, if this was the only thing I had on me as well, I would feel safe with it. Just that extra finger toil. I never hold it like this. Every time I pull this knife out, I always choke up on it. It just comes natural that way. It's like an extension of your hand, and you just feel really in control with this knife, and you really feel like it could be used as a defensive tool if you had to. Just a nice little knife. Another one of everybody's favorites is the Spyderco Tenacious. Won this from the Swedish paracord nut, Brother Christian. Love this knife. Could not be happier with it. This is another one of my workhorses. This thing has seen a lot of work over the days, and I'm sure it'll continue to see a lot of work over the days. This thing is razor sharp, and for a value knife, this thing is just awesome. This, of course, is the big brother to the Tenacious. Everybody knows the Resilience. Man, that thing's a little bit dirty. Been really putting this through the motions. Just got through with the military Resilience comparison. I've been EDCing these for the last month. I think today was the first day that I haven't carried the Resilience. Switch it up Saturday it was. But yeah, both of these knives, great knives for the money. If you have the money, go for the military. If not, hey, the Resilience is a great budget option. Another one of my favorite Spydercos, this is the Manix 2 XL. I'd like to get a regular Manix 2. because I am finding myself falling in love more and more with these smaller knives. When I first came into the knife game, I was all about the big knives, you know, the bigger the better. But now I do see, you know, the use and the handiness of having a smaller knife. As you can see, all these knives are a little dirty. They need to get cleaned up, oiled, wiped down with some rusty rag solution and put back in there. This here is one of my babies. This is my Super Leaf. I absolutely love this knife. Great knife. To me, this is my paramilitary too. I think I am going to eventually break down and get one once I have a little bit more funds in the knife box. But for now, this will have to do it for me. And I love this knife. Great knife. The newest Spyderco in the collection. This one is hard to keep clean as well. This is the fully serrated Spyderco Police. Big shout out to Glock 17 Ninja for making this possible. This is a badass knife. I'm just making it dirtier. I don't know why I'm going to keep touching it with my fingers. But I love this knife. This is one of the only knives in the history of my knife-loving career that I have wanted in full serrations. If this knife was in plain edge, I probably wouldn't have wanted it. It just doesn't look the same. It just looks so bad with all those serrations. Just look at that thing. That is a beast. That spider edge is just wicked sharp. Not a dull spot in there. This thing is a beast. Love this knife. Already showed you the military. Again, quick run through. Shout out to AutoTac91 for trading this to me. Love this knife. Let's see. Any other Spydercos out here? Nope. I think that's it for the Spydercos. How much time are we at? 7 minutes? Alright, let's keep it rolling. Back here we have the clone section. I have got rid of a couple of them, but I still have a few, so let's jump into them, shall we? I have a couple clone hinderers. This was the first one I got. It is the Coyote Brown or Desert Tan, whatever you call it. This one does have the hinderer stamped into it. This one's very smooth, although the lockup is just kind of flimsy feeling. Yeah, I say it's smooth and then it fails on me, huh? Isn't that how it always works, guys? Great little knife, of course. It's not real hinderer quality, but it's probably as close as I'll ever get to an actual hinderer. So, it is what it is, guys. We're not going to discuss politics about clones. Here is my other clone. This is the black one. This one's seen a little bit more use. Need to clean it up too. All these knives are dirty. Most of these actually get carried. You know, there's no point in paying for these knives if you're not going to carry them, have fun with them. So I did put this one through the test. This one actually has the steel insert on the lock bar, so that's why I put a little bit more use on this one. Don't have to worry about it as much, because although they are clones, they are titanium. This one does not have, it has the hinder on it, but it is not stamped. It's more of a sticker or an etch or something. Hopefully I'll be able to get it off one day, but until then, it is what it is. Great little knife. Definitely not hinderer quality though. Next up is the Strider clone. Nowhere near Strider quality. As you can see, it's a little greasy still. Was oiling this thing up and letting it sit. Trying to loosen it up a little bit. Even the lockup is still horrible. I can't even get it out with one hand. I mean, this thing is horrible. So it kind of looks like a Strider, but definitely does not act like a Strider. Real greasy still. I did try the little Sharpie trick, and it did, you know, loosen it up a little bit. Still got to figure something out. Make this thing a little smoother. Let's see, what do we got? About 40 seconds. Alright, so next on the clone list is the the Chris Reeve Zung clone. Love this knife. This knife has never been carried in my pocket. Played with it a little bit. The lockup's a little far from my liking. It's a little stiff, but it's a clone. What can you do? Love the design of this knife. Love the look of it. And that's going to do it, guys. I will continue with the clones in the next video, and we will start up with the Chris Reeve small Sebenza clone. That's going to do it. California Prepper. I'll be right back with you. Hey there, YouTube. Alright, we're back with the third video, and we're going to continue with the Chris Reeve Small Sebenza clone. This is probably one of my most carried clones. At first, I was upset because this was supposed to be a large Sebenza clone, and when I got it, turns out to be a small one and a little lighter than it was supposed to be. But I actually fell in love with it, and I am so happy that it's a small one, because if I ever do get a Sebenza, it's most likely going to be a small one. I just love this knife. It's awesome, and you can pull this out, and it looks a little more gentleman-y, you know, than a Tenacious. Just people, like I said in the previous videos, the public is conditioned so differently than it used to be, and seeing this is just a little more comforting than seeing something else. Great little knife for the money, you know, 55, 60 bucks. Great knife. Another clone on the list is this is a ZT clone. It's not really a clone of any knife in particular. It's more of a hybrid between the 560 and the 0200, but a lot smaller. Compared to the 560 side by side, it is teeny. It's a liner lock, and so, like I said, it's more of a hybrid between the 200 and the 560. And they're both liner locks. It's a lot smaller, but it does look more towards the 560. For, you know, what was it, $11.88 I think I paid for this. I got two of them for like 25 bucks delivered. It's an alright little knife. My wife likes hers. This is her beater knife. She doesn't mind putting them through the, you know, through the reins. So, cool little knife for 11, 12 bucks. Last but not least on the clone list, this is the Emerson clone. And at first I was really disappointed with this knife, but the more I've carried it and the more I've handled it, the more I've realized that it's actually, for the price, I got this for like under 15 bucks. I haggled with the guy, and it's actually pretty high quality compared to some of the other stuff that I've seen out there. You know, it's not Emerson quality, but really, what is Emerson quality anymore? From what I've heard, they have went down the drain. So, you know, for 14, 15 bucks, I think this is a really good knife. Man, some of the features on it aren't that bad at all. I think that unfortunately they're doing a really good job duplicating these knives, and for the money you can't beat it, really. This was the first knife that I've ever had with the wave feature. Not really a fan of it still, but I mean, if you're in the army, or you know, you're a cop or a SWAT, you know, agent or something, kicking down doors, and somebody takes your gun, you gotta whip out your knife, I guess, you know, it's worth it. But if you're just an everyday guy doing it just to be tactical, I mean, quit being a mall ninja and, you know, carry a real knife. Nothing against guys that carry Emersons, I'm just saying. So the next knife on the list, now that we're done with the clones, is the Boker S2. Now, this was probably one of my most disappointing knives when I first got it. There were a few issues. If you want to hear about them, check back on that video. But now that I've oiled it up, loosened it up, and broke it in a little bit, I've really started falling back in love with this knife. The handle, nothing to write home about, but I love the crazy weird blade shape. At first I hated it. First looks were just awful. I absolutely hated the knife, and then after seeing a few reviews of it and seeing actually the cutlery lover, again, the cutlery lover's review really made me fall in love with the knife, and I do like the knife now. I wouldn't, I don't know, I wouldn't say I wouldn't buy it again, but I don't know, but I can't say that I would. So it's a toss-up. If I had the money in my pocket again, would I choose this knife or would I choose another one? I'm not sure, but I'm happy that it is in my collection. This here is another big knife. This is the Bad Blood Fire Splitter. The websites say Fire Splitter. I'm pretty sure the box even says Fire Splitter. But I guess Sean Kendrick, I believe is his name, the maker, designer of these knives, has his customs are called the fire spitters, so people obviously said that the website got it wrong. So I'm not sure if it's a fire spitter, fire splitter, but it's a badass knife. It's a beast. For the money, it's a great buy. I actually won this in a contest long time ago from Dave Maddock won, and Onikis hit second place and won this in a Kershaw compound. That's actually the Kershaw that's not here. I gave that to my younger brother. Unfortunately, I wish I would have kept it because I ended up falling in love with the knife after I give it away, of course. But this is a great knife. I love this knife. It's a beast. Haven't really put it through any tough use yet, but I'm sure I will. It's just a bad knife, especially for the money. Under 40 bucks for this beast, and it's pretty high quality. Very overbuilt. Just an awesome knife for the money. Next, this is my baby. This is my ZT560. Probably one of, it is my most expensive knife, and probably will be for a while. I love this knife, and I am just so stoked that I actually got it. Never thought that I would get it, and I did, so very excited about that. Love this knife. Unfortunately, when I got it, I was a little upset. I was duped into thinking it was a brand new in the box, paid a little extra for it, and when it got there, obviously had wear marks all over it. It wasn't new in the box. It was like new in the box, but it had been carried a few times. There were scuff marks all over the blade, and you know, when you pay a little extra and you're shopping around for something brand new and you're told it's brand new, it just upsets you when it's not. Nothing against the knife. There was nothing wrong with the knife. The lockup was a little stiff on it, but it was used, so that kind of sucked. Another one of my favorites, the 0200, ZT0200. If I were going to war, this is what I would take with me. This is a badass knife. It is a beast, just super overbuilt, super heavy duty. That recurve blade is just wicked sharp. Love this knife. Just feels so sturdy in your hands. Zero tolerance, just makes great knives. And I'd like to get a few more in my collection eventually. Just don't really like the price mark on them, but hey, I got a great deal on this. Big shout out to Navander 20 here on YouTube for making this one possible. Next up, we have the Rat 1. Love this little knife. I actually didn't get this one until I got my Utilitech 2. Those of you guys that follow me know this story. Got this off a fellow YouTuber, fell in love with it, seen the great quality in this knife, and I figured, man, if Ontario makes this great of knives, then the Rat 1 really has to be what everybody's talking about. You know, everything they say about it must be true. So I got it, fell in love with it as well. But if you had to ask me which of these two I would take with me if I was, you know, if I could only have one of them, I'd have to go with the Utilitech 2. I love this knife. It's just so much better. Let me rephrase that. It's better built. I love the look of this knife. It just fits so comfortably in hand, and you just feel like you have a little bit more to work with than with the Rat 1. A little bit more weight to it, just a little more sturdy and hardy feeling. So great knife. Both of these knives are great, but the Utilitech 2 is awesome. This is probably going to be the last one for this video. This is the Schrade SCH304, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Great knife. Got it for like under 25 bucks off Blade HQ. They have a couple versions. They have a version that's just completely plain titanium without these little indents. Really reminds me of a Grayman knife, but I went with the one with the indents. They kind of remind me of a Praetorian type Medford knife look, and just a really cool knife, overbuilt knife for 25 bucks. Not a bad buy. It's really heavy. Got a it's supposed to be a titanium frame lock, but it's just steel with the titanium coating, and it's just a nice little toy. Throw 25 bucks at it. Nothing super nice, but it's all right. Pretty cool knife. Carried it today, and I'm pretty happy with it. So that's going to end this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Hey there, YouTube. We're back again. I think this is video 4. I'm not sure. So we're going to jump right back into it. Right down here we have another knife from a giveaway. This is from French Sniper. This is the Zombie Mule, which is the K-Bar Mule, just the zombie edition with these zombie green scales. I love that green. My son loves that green. Every time I open the knife box, he points out this knife, and that's his knife when he gets older. So eventually this will be passed down to my boy just because he absolutely loves it. And man, I'm stoked that, you know, he already has a knife picked out in Daddy's box. So thanks for that, brother. This is an awesome knife. Very cool, overbuilt knife. I actually have this set up to go on my vest. So if, yeah. Anyway, don't want to start rambling again. Got to get through this video before we have a number 5. Next up is a knife that's actually under 20 bucks on Blade HQ and Knife Center and stuff. It's like 18 bucks. It's a combat ready knife. This is the Black Bomber, I believe is the name. It's a pretty decent knife for the money. Nothing, you know, super fancy. It is assisted. I like the blade shape, and overall it's a pretty nice knife. Aluminum handle, very lightweight. Let's see, the pocket clip is not reversible at all, but it's a decent knife for under 20 bucks. Honestly, if I was buying it as my only knife, I would save the money up and, you know, throw another 5 bucks towards a Kershaw. But since I was just buying it just to try it out, for 18 bucks it's not a bad knife. I actually have had to dispatch an animal with this knife, so it has seen some action, and it worked out. Hey, be quiet back there. Sorry, dog's doing something weird. Knock it off, huh? Trying to make a video. Jeez, no respect, I'm telling you. Sorry about that, guys. Back to the Black Bomber. Aluminum scales. Like I was saying, I've had to dispatch an animal with this, and unfortunately I had to, you know, stab it several times, and, you know, even with blood and everything on these handles, I did not have any slippage issues. Nothing. My hand stayed perfectly where it was supposed to in the choil. Pretty deep set choil, and it was a sad situation, but the knife held up and did what it was supposed to. Next up is El Cheapo. This is the knife I used to carry before I got into quality knives. Still keep it just for the fact that I like to look back from where I came from, I guess. And also, my daughter loves this knife. Like I said, with a K-bar. This is my son's knife. This is my daughter's. She loves this knife, and you know, I can't give away something or get rid of something that my daughter wants when she gets bigger. So this is eventually going to be one of her knives. Next up is one of my favorites. This is my Benchmade 550. Love this knife. This was my first Benchmade product. Wanted a Griptilian, but I wasn't sure which one, and I just fell in love with this. I love the sheep's foot design. I love the spider hole. Gives you more options, you know, ways to flick it open. Yeah, you could do that with a thumb stud too, but it's just funner. Love this knife. Wanted to get myself more of a traditional Griptilian, but I just didn't want the normal Griptilian, so my wife got me one as a gift. Actually, she got me a personalized California Prepper knife. This is the Doug Ritter Griptilian. Love this knife. It doesn't see too much pocket time, just for the simple fact it is customized with my channel name, and just really means a lot to me. I'm a real sentimental guy now that I have 2 kids, you know. Once you have kids, you really get sentimental. It's really sad, but it's the truth. So that doesn't see too much pocket time. One that does see a lot of pocket time is my Enlon EL4. This thing hasn't seen as much pocket time as it was because I've gotten a lot of new knives. It's actually stiffened up a little bit, need to grease it up, but this is a great knife for the money. I absolutely love these knives. I rant and rave about how great these knives are. Still absolutely zero play. This thing's still razor sharp, and I just love it. Yeah, the access lock is not a Benchmade, but hey, you don't pay Benchmade price for it either. Love the micarta on the scale. It's just gorgeous knives. We've already talked about the Select Fire. Next up is the Gerber Freeman Guide folder. I bought this at the beginning of my folder collecting career, and I like the design, but just, man, I really have a hard time liking this knife anymore. Batoned with it a couple times, everything was great, and then all of a sudden it developed a lot of blade or lock rock, I guess. The lock completely locked up on me for like a week and a half. This thing was a fixed blade. I could not get it loose. I had to take a screwdriver and physically knock it out with the hammer and screwdriver. And if you flick it open too hard, see, there you go again, it becomes a perma fixed blade. So you gotta, I'm gonna have to, see, can't even close it now. I'm gonna have to close it off screen later on so I don't chop my thumb skin off again like last time. Next knife is HK Pika 2. Got this from Fred Hart's channel. Love this little knife. I think it's HK's copy of the Endura or the Delica. I'm not sure. Whatever the smaller one is, I believe. Actually, don't quote me on that. It's their version of one of them. I'm an idiot. I'm not sure which one, but it just really reminds me of that knife. A couple other people that had seen the knife from the backside had actually asked me, hey, is that a Spyderco? So that's really what stuck that in my mind and made me think that way. Great little knife. My wife actually likes this knife a lot, so it's actually another one she gets to play with and carry. So down to these last ones here in the front. This is a knife that I found in my stepdad's work truck. It says handmade 440C stainless steel. Not sure where it came from, what it is, but it's a pretty cool little knife. Sharpened it up a little bit, and who knows, you know, maybe my boy will have some use for it. Just a good little knife to throw in your tackle box, you know, something to have to whittle something with or whatnot. Just me collecting knives, I can't see myself throwing away a good working knife. So this here was another gift from a feller here on YouTube. Really love this knife. He actually had got this from, I believe, his grandfather or his father had passed it to him, and he doesn't have any kids, so he passed it to me to give to my boys. So I'm very excited to give him this knife. Cleaned it up a little bit, sharpened it up, and once he gets older, I'm not sure if I'm going to give him this or this first, but these will be one of his knives growing up. So thank you so much for that, brother. Next up, this is a knife that I also won here off YouTube from Nicest Knives giveaway. When I was a boy, I did have a Victorinox. I'm not sure if it was this same model. I'm pretty sure it was. It was relatively the same size. But this is a great knife. I love Victorinox. I wanted a real Victorinox, and I happened to win this one. And I really wish I would have hung on to mine when I was a boy. You don't know how much you'll miss those things when you get older until you don't have them. But I will definitely be passing this down to my boy eventually. But it's a great knife, and I actually do carry this quite a bit. Love this knife. Last but definitely not least, this is a old folder. I believe it's an old timer. It used to say old timer over here, but it fell off. This was passed down to me from my uncle. It sat in the toolbox for days and days and days, and one day he cleaned it up, gave it to me. As you can see, it has been put through the ringer on the blade. This thing has been sharpened every which way from Sunday on just about anything you can think of. So it has been beat up, but it's a family heirloom. It's an old lockback knife, not the highest of quality, but I use it as my little whittling knife. You know, when I go camping or whatnot, this is what I bust out to play with my sticks. So that did not sound right. So we're going to end this video before we have to start another one. So this is the folding collection. I will do a fixed blade collection soon enough, but I'm going to get out of here before I run out of time. So thanks guys for sticking around. Thanks for requesting this video, and thanks for not giving me a hard time for all the mess ups. That's going to do it. California Prepper, I'm out of here.